Welcome to another video, everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today we're starting off in my home theater rather than my garage. I was recently doing some upgrades to my theater, largely a larger screen, and the center channel was sitting too high and blocking some of the picture. So a new TV bench was needed. Having more media storage as well, as evident by the Blu-rays everywhere, is always a good thing as well. So with a new planer and a new joiner, both of which I've talked about before in previous videos, linked below, we're about to set off on building a new media bench. So let's head out to the garage and get started. So here we are in the garage. I have the wood for my TV bench behind me here. The wood is just standard pine that I purchased at Home Depot. I did have it in my basement for about the last 6 weeks to try and dry it out a little bit more. I don't need any shrinking or cracking later on after I have the TV bench installed. I've also discovered that working with the planer, that 8-foot segments, which is how long the lumber is now, is a bit too long. So let's get started with the project by cutting the wood down into 4-foot chunks. Hi Mason.
Hi.
So what saw are we going to be using today? And what kind of saw is it?
Chop saw.
And when we're not using the chop saw, what do we do?
Unplug it.
Always. And when we're using the chop saw, what do we wear?
Earmuffs.
And what else?
Glasses.
Oh, good job. All right, let's get to work.
Okay.
Our wood has been chopped down to 4-foot lengths. Here's one of the boards. You can see it's kind of rough in spots. So we'll run these things through the planer now to take out the rough spots, as well as to make them as straight as possible. So here we have a shelf. We're going to be biscuiting these two pieces together like this. The joiner is all set up, and we have measured out our marks on 6 inches for the biscuits. We will be using the jointer with the fence on top on both sides, so we don't have any offsets, because I'm sure I'm not perfectly set in the middle. And then we will glue it and clamp it together. A couple of the pieces together yesterday, so the glue is all set. There is a slight ridge at the joint, so we're going to run them through the planer very lightly to get rid of that, and then give them a light sanding, after which we should be able to cut them up and start assembly. So our components are all ready here. We have a bottom, a top, and the sides. So we're going to trim off probably 1 inch from each end. The planer did rough up some of the ends. And then we're going to cut this piece up into 8-inch chunks to be the sides. A Blu-ray is 7.5 inches high, so 8 inches works about right, as well as keeping it low enough in my theater so that it doesn't interfere with the screen. So let's get the table saw set up and cut this into 8 inches. So it's starting to look a little bit more like a bench. We have the gluing together right now, and while we're waiting, we're going to start working on the back piece. So I'm going to use a rabbet bit to router in a 1/2 by 1/2 groove in the back, in which we'll place the 1x6 fence board that I planed down to 1/2 inch, and then that'll give a nice clean back to the unit. So we have our groove cut, we have our back pieces planed and cut, so we're just going to pop these in with a bead of glue and the air nailer. So the glue has set, we've pulled the clamps off, we've touched up some rough areas with sandpaper, and it's looking pretty good. So we're going to put a first coat of Varathane on. We're using traditional cherry color to match my speakers, and then we'll do a satin clear coat to protect it. And then we'll move it on down into the theater. So with the clear coat on top of our base color complete, all that was left was to install some feet onto the stand. So it was off to my computer to draw up some feet, then export them to the 3D printer, and finally to attach them to our stand. Well, this looks much better. The center channel is no longer sitting on a stack of Blu-ray cases, and the Blu-rays are nicely organized in the media bench. Another successful project. I could have gone a little bit darker on the color of paint. It doesn't match the speakers exactly, but I think it still looks pretty sharp. All in all, another successful project. So if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more just like this one, please subscribe. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.